Hello everyone, this is Pallets to Pints, and we bring in the best in beverage distribution to sit down so we can all get smarter together. Today we're with Myrl Johnson, the Director of Operations at Keg.1 Colorado. Myrl, thanks for sitting down with me today.
It's a pleasure, Scott. Thanks for having me.
Myrl, appreciate you being here. I work with a lot of beer distributors, and there's a lot of lifers out there. You're not a lifer. You had a role before you came here to Keg.1. Talk a little bit about that, your service to this country, and how that's shaped you to actually get to where you are today at Keg.1.
Sure. It's really not that complicated of a story. Like many other folks, I was in the military, United States Army to be exact, because I got it right the first time. Just kidding. Navy, Marines, Air Force, and Coast Guard. And I was fortunate enough in 2007 to meet a man named Mike Fulmer. And we became friends. And I was in Afghanistan in 2012. My whole career was spent in logistics, supply chain management, and transportation. This place interested me. And this industry, it was interesting to me. So I asked him to send me his company profile, and I looked at it for a year in Afghanistan. And when I came back, I decided that all veterans, regardless of age or how long they're in the military, they are looking for their next chapter of service. Thank goodness, and I'm fortunate enough to have found it as a beer wholesaler. And that was almost 13 years ago.
It's 13 years ago that you
Yes.
took that decision. You're like, what about beer either excited you or you thought it was a challenge versus the other supply chain industries that you were in?
I don't know if it was a challenge. I had my first beer on the Chippewa River. I'm from Wisconsin, so I grew up drinking Leinenkugels. And I think I had my first beer with my dad after a 40-inch muskie on the Chippewa River. And it was a Leinenkugels Red, of all things.
So you've been moving beer for a long time, is what you're saying.
Not just beer. If you're not familiar, it's all the same. You've got to move something somewhere.
Right.
So in the military, if you deploy and you're in 7 locations, you've got 9 classes of supply. You've got to move to those locations. You got to get there and you got to get back. So it's not rocket science.
What was your initial impact that you thought you'd have, and what was the biggest learnings you had for the first 6 months or a year you were here?
I don't know if I brought expertise. I brought knowledge and experience in a field that correlates between sectors. So you got to move stuff in the military, you got to move stuff in the civilian world. And it's kind of all done the same way, just on a larger scale, depending on what you're doing for the Army versus what you're doing for the beer. So if I'm moving between 3 countries in the Army, I'm moving between 24,200 square miles in 15 counties. So I don't know about being an expert, but I had some knowledge and experience.
And the culture and the personnel, because that plays a big role into things, right? What have you learned over the years to really better your people's lives and their overall wellness, right, whenever they come to work?
Well, anything's about the people, in my opinion. So that's a great word, is culture. How do you make it a great place to work, and how do you give your customers something better? Because it's an evolution, it's evolving. When I first started here, we were in 58,000 square feet up north with fluorescent light bulbs. So, I mean, the immediate impact is the fact that there's LED light bulbs, and now we can make it a brighter place to work. And then you just go from there. So it's an evolution of, I don't like the word problem. I think any business only has 2 problems, which is retention of personnel and showing up every day on time. Once you have that, you have 100 solutions just with those 2 things right there. So it just depends on what it is.
Yeah, and largely, I guess, how would you describe your leadership style, your communication style in general?
Clear as kind when it comes to communication.
Clear as kind.
So right now we're sitting here, and if I got something to say that's awkward and uncomfortable, clear as kind.
Yeah.
Any employee needs clear, concise communication. That is the kindest way to do things. If you are unclear, you are unkind. And you're always going to have a problem if you cannot communicate clearly, like we're doing right now.
Yeah, you'd be doing a disservice if you had to sugarcoat things or not be direct. And coming in, I guess, then this was
almost 13
years ago. What were some of the bigger lessons that you've learned in terms of providing growth opportunities for your people?
Just because it's the way you've always done things doesn't mean it's the way you're going to do things in the future. So 58,000 square feet, pretty stuffed. You have to start small. So what's the first thing you want to do to be more efficient, be more productive, improve the quality of life of your employees? And that's where we started. And we started with hot shots and call-ins. And we started with people working on Saturdays. And we started small. But back then I didn't know the business that well. And the equipment that we have in the military is amazing. And I didn't know any of it in the civilian sector. So it just depends on what you're looking for and where you're trying to go.
You do a lot of activities outside of these walls to support veterans. What have you taken from Keg 1 and the learnings from how you operate here every day to supporting veterans?
Everybody likes to use this word, transition. I don't think there's a transition. So you can't be in the Army for 25 years and then transition into the civilian sector and find your next chapter of service and everything is great and wonderful. It is a journey. So what I take from this place is I'm on a journey here. I'm on a journey every day here. So you want to kind of let folks know that this journey will take as long as it's going to take. Same thing with veterans. I've taken this and I've used, who doesn't love a beer guy?
Everybody loves a beer guy.
Everybody loves a beer guy.
Yeah.
So when you're a beer guy, you already have a humongous network when you get out of the military. You've been in for 25 years.
Yeah.
That is a humongous network. Then you come here and you make a network in operations, you make a network in IT, you get a network in employees, you get a network in your peers in the industry. So you kind of take those things and all roll them up so that you have a military that's up and down, it's very stringent, and then you have a civilian sector that's like this, and you find a way to intersect them.
Myrl, how many veterans work at Keg 1 Colorado?
22.
22 veterans.
Yes.
And do they span everything from warehousing to delivery?
Yeah, they're in every department.
Okay.
And they're from the lowest entry level, just getting out of the military. They're retired, senior NCOs. It's just a plethora of folks from all branches of the military.
Yeah, and I think that's incredible. You talked about the different networks that have opened up to you being in beer and then leveraging those to help veterans. I guess
Sort of.
You know, where are we sitting right now? What else?
Let's dumb it down.
Yeah.
If a guy needs a garage door spring, I can get him a garage door spring in 15 minutes and somebody will be at his house. So it's not just, hey, I need a case of Coors Light. We have 27 high-speed garage doors here. And we have an incredible vendor, but he will also take the relationship that we've formed here in our chapters of service and forming relationships and go do a garage spring for one of my employees who doesn't have money. So you see what I'm saying? The networks are operational in the business, but the networks also go into that culture where do you stop taking care of your employees? I don't think you stop taking care of your employees between the hours of 10 in the morning and 10 at night. I think if they have an issue and you know a guy. So it just depends on what the network group is.
And what does that must mean a great deal to them to then come to work knowing that they have support not only here, but even when they go home at the end of the day.
You do as much as you can to take care of your employees.
If you have a family member or you have a friend and they always say, like, I have a guy, that guy is Myrl Johnson. Is that what we're trying to get to?
No.
You're the phone call that they're making and then piecing things together.
No, none of this is about me. It's never been about me. It's been about taking care of folks. It's been about doing everything you can to make them realize and understand that some places truly are great places to work.
If there are other distributors or any company for that matter out there looking to hire veterans, what should they know about hiring a veteran? How do they better target veterans to accept them into their places of work and make them feel comfortable and set them up to succeed?
There's a movie that I watch over and over and over again, and it drives my wife of 29 years, 2 months, 6 days, absolutely crazy, because it's about a bunch of dudes who are in jail, and then one of them's been there for so long that he gets out, and the world's changed, and he doesn't know how to deal with it, so he doesn't. Everything we do in life, whether I work here or whether somebody else was in the Army or whatever the case may be, let's use the word institution. So if you're in an institution for a long time, when it's over, you're institutionalized and you don't know how to deal with that. So I think the biggest thing that I would say is patience. Talk to them, get to know them. If you don't know anything about the military, ask them a million questions. If you don't know anything about their rank or what they did or what level leadership they were at or what they know about counseling and mentoring, you have to have patience and understanding with a veteran, because that's why I say it's not a transition, it's a journey. If I'm in the Army for over 20 years, I haven't had a job interview in over 20 years. That's why I go back to be curious. In the veteran community or active duty now, I owe them all a debt of gratitude I can never repay, but I will continue to try to do so. You can do that here in a wholesaler or distributorship, whether it's beer or wine or liquor or alcohol. We're beer here. You can do that here. You can try to pay them back for what you know is very difficult here. A lot of times coming into a beer distributorship as a delivery driver or a merchandiser or whatever the case may be, or warehouse worker, sometimes the hardest part of the day is just walking through the door. We would like it to be easy for them to walk in the door.
And then all of the subsequent steps, right, to set them up for success after they walk in the door, and then all the way through their shift.
Yeah.
So, and that's where you're tasked with, right, as director of operations, looking for those opportunities to support your people and looking at best practices in the industry. So I guess, talking about that.
Best practices, productivity, efficiency, how do you steward supplies and funds? So if we've been in this building, since 2017, so it was supposed to last 15 years. So if we forecast that in the next 10 years, we're going to grow 9.8%. And of that 9.8%, we're going to have a 38% growth in SKUs. Okay, there it is. Now we need to go through
What's
our
next?
problem-solving steps, and we need to find our solutions and gather facts, make assumptions, do a whole bunch of stuff, and away we go. If you're on the floor and you see 7 processes that are manual, and man, I almost swore, and you know I love to swear, suck, then, okay, that's what you've got. Now what's the way forward? Let's go through our problem-solving steps, and we're going to pick what's viable.
And you, in October, you hosted distributor partners within the Keg.1 network and beyond in here, right? This big old room that the camera can't see all of. What was the goal of that meeting? And are you going to have more? And how do you build on those agendas and best practice sharing with those distributors?
That was the second annual. The first one was in Weatherford, down at Keg.1 O'Neill. David Cochran, LD Crawford, awesome folks. They hosted the first one, and it was incredible. And then I hosted the second one, and we had an issue that I went to the RISE conference, and we were at the barbecue joint, and we have a problem here that we're manual. We do a lot of down stacking. We do a lot of down stacking for breakage. We do a lot of down stacking for big box stores, for a whole bunch of stuff. And it's time consuming, and it's labor intensive, and it's physical, and it's demanding. And I was talking to Jeff, and I said, if you got something that does this, 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 and this, he's like, absolutely we do. We just bought Q-Tech Bomber in Canada, and that's kind of how our relationship started and why I'm sitting here today.
Yeah. And it wasn't that much longer that we installed it, and the evolution of how you guys have used it and the products you've used it in and now implemented in both of your buildings has been huge for your guys.
It's the great thing about Keg.1 is we are able to evaluate things for each other. So instead of one guy buying something that's 6 figures and then you evaluate it after the fact, it's kind of not the way we like to do business. We like to evaluate it before the fact. So when I knew that was coming, and we started our relationship between myself and Keg.1 Colorado and Rarig, I said, yeah, that's fine, but we'll create our own ROI. So I want one here for 2 or 3 months to do that myself. I think it's important that if you do have brothers or sister distributorships or people that are in your collective, that you evaluate it for each other so the ROI cannot be sold to you. It can be created, and then you have 100% confidence that when you give somebody a number, when you give somebody data, when you give somebody information, it's 100% correct. In other words, you're just full of shit.
Yeah. And what about for the distributors that are outside looking in? You guys have a expansive network to test these solutions, whether that's Rarig or otherwise. What do you guys want to be for the rest of beverage distribution as innovative leaders?
We want to be trusted. So if I don't trust it, I don't want to do it. But if I've evaluated it, or I have a group of folks that we're working together, or if they have something in North Carolina, whether in Charlotte or, we want to be trusted with each other. So if somebody's going to talk to me, if somebody's going to be referred to me, if somebody is going to ask me questions, they are going to get truth. They are going to get honesty.
Facts.
They are going to get answers from somebody with integrity. And I know a lot of people in the beer business that have those things. We want to trust the information. We want to trust the equipment, because there is so much out there. It's a lot to sort through. And it's never ending. So that's what we want. We want trust in each other and with each other.
And
You still nervous, by the way?
I'm incredibly. Well, I think it's because
Are you
this
really?
beer is getting warmer and warmer,
You
and
don't
I have
look
been
it.
drinking. Yes, I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much as you're looking around and the processes that you want to improve on. It's like, hey, where do you start first? How do you evaluate that?
You start by committee. You start by team.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Keg1 folks. I like the K1MS folks, because we don't just jump into stuff. We have committees and we form teams. So we have to figure out, what is the cost of doing it? What is the cost of not doing it? What is the benefit? What are we trying to do? And we do it by committee. That's why I love to hate Teams. That's why I love to hate Zoom. That's why I love to hate a whole bunch of other stuff. As a guy who is on a journey to embrace technology, however, it sure is a good thing. So you're looking at any measure that makes this place a great place to work and give the customer something better. So when we did the Rarick Bomber, what we wanted was speed, accuracy, savings, and less touches. And that's exactly what we got.
Can we talk specifically about the Bomber for a second? Because we've got some great footage and examples of the different SKUs that we're able to manipulate, the different manual processes that we're able to cut out. I guess, what are the top 3, 4 items that you guys were looking to accomplish, and maybe give me some details around what you were doing before and what you're doing today?
I mean, everything was manual when it came to Constellation, fixing breakage. It wouldn't matter the brand. Everybody has breakage. Everything goes from a supplier to a distribution center. Everything goes from a supplier to a boat, to a train, to wherever the case may be. When you, at the end of the day, have 2 dudes who are working a 64,200 square foot warehouse, and then their shift's over and they have 19 pallets of breakage to fix, now they don't have to touch it. Now, instead of down stacking to the 6th layer down the pallet, they stick it in the bomber, they lift it up, they've already grabbed 2 or 3 cases or whatever they need from the top. They separate those layers, they stick them in there, they let it go, and away we go. And that's pallet after pallet after pallet. You already know the times. I mean, we save hours. We save hours. Club stores, they require all of their stuff on a ship pallet. Well, it doesn't come in on a ship pallet. So you can stick it up there in the bomber, and it holds it all up there. You take the Molson Coors or the Constellation or the Diageo, whatever the pallet is, you take it out, you stick one up there that's a ship pallet, you let it go, and it's done. So what used to take us manually per pallet for just, say, big box stores of 8 to 12 minutes, because a guy's got to down stack a pallet onto another pallet, now takes 90 seconds to 2 minutes. I operate in hours. 43,800 hours is 5 years. You hope that anything you do will get you 5 years. Any solution will get you 5 years. I would take it down to 40,000, which is 4.5 years. And then if we can get it to 10, here we go.
You have these written down somewhere? I can't.
What's that?
I need to take off my
I already told you,
socks and
Scott, I
shoes
can
if
be
need to do
trusted
that.
that when I give you a number, it's a number.
I
So
like
if
that.
you want
I
to
like
get
that.
on the Google and take a look, you'll see that 43,600.
Somebody fact check this for me.
43,650 feet is an acre. I mean, the numbers are the numbers.
This is starting to be that song in Rent that I can't remember the rest of. But
absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
You want to get to where you want to get in this building for the next 5 to 10 years. And then after 10 years, you have a plan for expansion, maybe for 15 years, and you just need to know how to get there. Well, with that comes a lot of change. With that comes a lot of cost. So there's a lot of things that are finite in the wholesaler industry, and one of them is space, and one of them is square footage. So you constantly have to evolve by team, by committee, by whatever it is you're going to do to figure out the best way. That's why we started with the bomber in this building, because with that comes a ton of change. I don't know what the exact number is, but change is the key to success, unless you got to do it, and then it sucks and you hate it, and this is a bunch of crap. There's a lot of change coming when you have a building that you're out of space in, and you need to be in that building for another 5 to 10 years. So how do we do that? Do you have the answer to that question?
I have it written down on one of these pages, but I didn't earmark it.
I think it should also be noted, I didn't know it was going to be all of this. I feel like I wasn't prepared. Nobody told me to take notes or bring sheets, so you're a big cheater.
This is, the camera can't see it, this is absolutely blank.
Is it really?
And
Okay.
I can't read my own handwriting, so that doesn't matter. So
Good deal.
Let's talk about change, whether you're embracing it now. There's some that are resistant to change or saying, you know what, give me 6 more months. Give me a year. Why do folks have to look at it now? Why shouldn't they wait to?
Because money from the bank is expensive money, and sometimes you have to do that. You have to say, okay, so if somebody asks you for your CapEx numbers out 5 years, it's a little hard to do unless you've done it by committee, unless you've done it by problem solving, unless you've done it by team, unless you have figured it all out to 5 years. We don't really want to do it out to 5 years. We want to go to 10 and have a plan for 15 to stay in this building, because it's much cheaper than an $80 million new building. So what is the cost of not doing it is my biggest question. If you want to put it off for 6 months or a year or 18 months, that's great, but what is the cost of not doing it after that? What is the cost of a lack of technology, IT? What is the cost of a lack of automation, as you call it? What are the 3 levels of automation, which I know, how many millions do they cost? That's why they probably do that, because if you have a level of automation that is going to take up 3,000 to 8,000 square feet, depending on how many sections you put in, that's $4 to $10 million. Once you go up one more, where you can do 120 SKUs with one dude and it goes on a conveyor down to be put on a pallet, now you're into 15 to 20 million, and it just goes up and up and up from there.
And the checkbook just gets either more, or the checks get larger. Is that where those big checks come into play?
I have no idea.
Okay, you write those big checks, and that's how you get those big pieces.
I have no idea.
Gotcha.
Thank goodness I don't have to make those decisions, but I will tell you that if it makes sense, find a way to do something.
And you're currently in the midst of planning the next 3, 5, 10 years. Where do you guys plan to be in 10 years? How do you guys want to grow and sustain your targets over that time frame?
Those numbers weren't fictitious. I mean, it's hard to predict the next 10 years of growth, because you don't truly know, but you have the last 20 years of data to try to assist you to get it as close as possible, so that you know you have a solid plan. So 9.8 or 10% growth on volume with 38 more SKUs. That doesn't even take into account any new brands. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it, but where do we want to be? We want to be the most cost-effective, efficient, productive place in the world, with some automation, with a great plan to pick up in the next 10 years and have room for 600 new pick positions, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And that's through either innovation of the space or acquisition of new SKUs or existing SKUs.
It's all time and measure. I mean, if you pick north-south, what do you get when you go east-west?
Yeah.
If you pick east-west, what do you get if you stay there and throw in some automation that does your top 25 SKUs, your top 50 SKUs, your whatever the case may be? There's about 8 million scenarios that I could run you through. But basically, when you do a project like this, your head is thinking 10 years. With a minimum of 5. So if you have a 5, a 10, and a 15-year plan, or a 10 and a 15, whatever the case may be, you want to figure out the best way you can get there. But even when you do that, I wouldn't have gotten a bomber times 2 if I didn't think it was a 5-year solution at a minimum. We don't want automation that is going to last for 2 or 3 years. We want automation that's going to last for 5 years, or 10 years, or that has upgrades, or that is basically software. Easy to maintain. How does that happen? I don't know. How much does it cost? We don't have one. How much do the parts cost? There's a lot that goes into it.
There's a lot of levels.
And it's not just for Keg 1 or Myrl Johnson or Dave or Nick or any of the folks that are my peers in the industry that I trust. It is for every person that distributes a product.
And talking about the growth of everything you guys are looking for from the different brands coming in historically, and these are other distributors I talk to, they say we're not beer distributors anymore, we're beverage distributors. I guess, do you believe that for Keg One moving forward with?
It's a fair statement, but it doesn't matter. The mission stays the same. It comes in the door and it goes out the door.
Simple as that.
Doesn't matter what liquid is in the package. It comes in and it goes out. We want speed and accuracy and efficiency on the front end, and we want to make the delivery driver's life easier on the back end when they deliver the product to the customer. We want to cut that time down as much as possible with the correct people and the correct equipment.
Part of your expansion plan, I noticed a piece of that was a retention pond. I think, was it to the east of this building?
Yes, very good to know your cardinal directions, Scott.
Okay, good. I think I saw the sun coming over one time or another.
Yeah.
You're an avid fisherman.
Yes.
Is keeping the retention pond part of your plan? Are you going to stock it? Can you fish that? Coming from a non-fisherman, is this possible?
Let me tell you something. Every minute of every day I'm in this business feels like I got a monster on the line. It's an incredible place to work. So
I love that.
I'm fishing right now, Scott. I got a 10-pounder on.
What do you want other distributors to know, the people that are watching, to know about Keg One, where you guys are headed in the future of your business?
We are looking for opportunity. We're looking for partnership. We are looking to grow a business just like everybody else, the best and smartest way we know how. And that's the simplest answer I can give, because everybody else that may be listening to this or watching this in the beverage industry knows what goes into that. They know.
Very well said. Myrl, cheers. I appreciate you sitting down with me over a couple of cold cores. Appreciate your time.
I appreciate you not telling me that this was going to be all of this. I'm just kidding. Thank you.
Thank you.